This report paints a bleak picture that even before the devastation wrought by the current conflict, Gaza was already rendered a humanitarian disaster area with over 80% of the population dependent on international aid.
The worst case scenario, we go back to what it was prior to October 2023. And there, in 16 years, Gaza grew by 1%. The average growth rate in Gaza was 0.4%. And if that's the conditions prevailing in the recovery or after the war ends or the military operation ends, it will take Gaza until 2092 or 7 decades just for it to go back to its level of 2022. But this basically poses the question, can the international community or the people in Gaza afford 7 decades of such a humanitarian crisis, catastrophic humanitarian crisis?
The report says that prior to the current conflict, much of the damage from previous military operations remained unrepaired, while the inhabitants of Gaza were confined in one of the most densely populated spaces in the world in chronic conflict conditions, with inadequate access to basic services. Close to half the workforce was unemployed, and 2/3 of the population lived in poverty.
If we took what was needed after the 2014 military operations in Gaza, what was needed was 3.9 billion. But given the level of destruction we're seeing now, it's going to be multiple times the 3.9 billion that was asked in 2014. And given the catastrophic humanitarian disaster in Gaza now, the tens of billions needed for the reconstruction does not include the humanitarian assistance need for the people in Gaza until the reconstruction is done.
According to the UN Satellite Center, Israeli bombardments have damaged over 37,000 buildings, 18% of the total structures in Gaza, and the destruction of everything from agricultural land, water pumping systems, to electricity and internet networks, vital pillars of any economy, let alone in Gaza.
The most important message from this report is that the international community needs to take urgent actions now. And going back to half solutions and the cycle of destruction and insufficient reconstruction is not an option for the people in Gaza now.
The report provides a cautionary tale that underscores the impossibility of any recovery and development in Gaza without serious and speedy efforts by the international community to restore peace and secure high levels of funding required to bring a semblance of socio-economic normality to the devastated Strip. Shervin Bryceby's SABC News, New York.